Hi everyone, it's Dr. E and I wanted to provide you with the instructional video and information for week 10. We're into the double digits, y'all. I know you're working hard. I know that this class, as well as your others, requires a lot of attention and a lot of energy, but you're doing really well. So I appreciate that. And I also wanted to note that those of you who are really taking the time to follow instructions and make sure that you're following those guidelines for the assignments, I really, really want to thank you for that. There are a handful of folks who are maybe not taking the kind of time to do that. And unfortunately, that is something that is reflected in grades. So make sure, just kind of maybe hit the reset button when it comes to this class and all others, and make sure that you're putting in the time and effort to read instructions, reread them, make sure that you understand them, ask questions if you don't. I would say a good a big percentage of college work is just being able to follow instructions. So it's one of those things where some professors maybe don't give the best instructions, and I may be one of them, just the way that your brain reads and processes information. So if you're having difficulty with any of that, please shoot me an email, meet with me during my office hours, or of course you can post in the Q&A area of D2L, which, as a reminder, I have made anonymous. So you don't have to post your own information. You can post anonymously if you get kind of worried about I don't know, not, sounding stupid or whatever the problem is. There's no stupid question. I mean that in all seriousness. If you have questions, I don't want you to move through this class with any confusion. So make sure that whatever your approach is, you're seeking the answers and information. Okay, so I want to go over, as we usually do, our syllabus. So it's probably good to have that handy so that you can make any notes or any edits that are going to be helpful to make sure that you're turning in and doing the assignments as needed. So for week 10, we're moving out of that peer reviewing and into kind of one of our more regular weeks where we have a post that's due on Wednesday and then a post that's due on Friday. The added kind of layer to this is that your annotated bibliography assignment is going to be due on Sunday. Now, it's important. So it's important that you submit the work on time, but definitely make sure that you're following the instructions. It's helpful to go back, even if you've looked at the assignment guidelines a good number of times, go back and look again just to make absolutely sure. There is an annotation example included. Go and look at that. Look at the formatting. You need to include 3 annotations for 3 separate articles, right? So you need Choi's article, you need Kluger's article, right, Why We Eat, and then additionally you will have added, after your annotation assignments, the annotation for Jennifer 8. Lee's work, right? And that is information you should have included for the peer review sessions last week, right? So just double check that you're following all the assignment guidelines. Take a look at the video. I've posted a link for that in this week's information. It's never bad to have a refresher and just double check that you're doing what is needed. Additionally, folks, I need you to submit in the proper format, right? So yes, MLA formatting in the actual document itself. Make sure you have those hanging indents. Hanging indents, I'll say it one more time, hanging indents. And those citations should appear before the annotation for that specific article. I know it seems backwards because we put our works cited at the end of essays and research papers and things of that nature. The annotated bibliography is a little bit different, right? Because your purpose is to summarize the ideas of an author's within a particular article. So you need that article information first, followed by your actual annotation. So just a couple of quick reminders there. So that is going to be due on Sunday in the proper format, which is .doc, .docx, or .pdf. I can't really grade in any other format. So if you're working with a Mac or Apple computer and you only have Pages, make sure that you are saving as either a Word file or a PDF, okay? Because I can't hunt everybody down to get the proper format. It needs to be submitted in that format. So just a quick reminder, and that's in the instructions as well. So additionally this week, we're going back to kind of our reading, right? So you have De Peter's article, which is how to write meaningful peer review praise. So this will really help provide more context for the peer review process. You did some of the practicing last week. You worked in groups twice now. I know it's been a little bit frustrating for you. It's been really frustrating for me because some of you have been placed in groups automatically by D2L and you don't have group members who are showing up. That is something that I hope to address in the upcoming week or two, because I will be sending out emails to students who have not shown up in class, have not logged on, have not seemingly participated. And if I don't hear back from those students, they will unfortunately be dropped from the course according to the attendance guidelines that are not only part of my department, but on our syllabus as well. So once we've gone through that process and students have been dropped who maybe are going through quite a bit outside of school, we don't know those circumstances, you will no longer be placed in groups where people are not participating. So that's just been an unfortunate side effect of just a tough semester for a lot of people. You know, we have a lot going on right now, and that is understandable, but I don't like that it's impacting some of you who are really doing everything you can to be successful in the course. So again, I'll send out those emails. So if you are one of the people who maybe has not been participating, know that an email is coming to you and I need to hear from you. You know, or you will be dropped. You know, I don't want that to be the option for a lot of students, but I know that sometimes that's the best choice for people because, again, this semester can be, you may be dealing with quite a bit, and school may be the last thing on your mind. Okay, so going back to the readings this week, we have the peer review praise article by DePeter, which I think is really good because that's also setting us up for when we go down the line, we have another round of peer review for our paper topic portfolios. So it's really good to kind of get into a mindful practice when we're offering feedback to one another and really being considerate of what our peers need in terms of feedback. And DePeter kind of gives us some of that context. We also have an article called The Rise of Food Studies Programs, and that's by Cosgrove. It's a link, so the link is here, and I've included that in the content area of D2L. So DePeter's article is actually an uploaded document, which I'll show you here. It's not super long, but it is really helpful. I think it gives us context that we need moving forward for sure. And then we have Cosgrove's article, which is, that's me, just a publication here that we don't have a PDF for, but it is, it's an article that is static and present. It's really wonderful, you know, identifying what's developing in terms of food studies programs. So it definitely relates to a lot of things that we've been discussing, and it's just interesting. So if we go back to taking a look at our schedule, everything will be posted on Monday. You'll need to write your writing discussion post based on DePeter's article and peer reviewing. Your paper topic post for this week will be based on Cosgrove's article. That's what we have the link for. And then as a reminder, your annotated bibliography is due by Sunday. Y'all, it's a bigger grade. Okay, so make sure that you're thinking about these things when submitting your assignments. We have, you know, these are not grades, you know, the points are still pretty high on our discussion posts every week now. We started small and we're expanding, but we're getting into an area where assignments are going to be worth a lot more. So keep your eye on the prize. You know, we're into the double-digit weeks, so we're definitely into the semester, but that also means that the stakes are a little bit higher, the grading expectations are higher, etc. You'll notice for next week that you need to prepare your paper topic portfolio for peer reviewing. Okay, this is again where we're getting into discussions of those groups where hopefully you'll be placed into groups that are more active and meaningful. So this will be kind of a repeat of what we have been doing the last week. At this point, we should be used to this, right? We should be used to, if we go into our group area, we're not going to see anything until we ourselves post. And it's also, again, one of those times where following the instructions is going to be very important. We need to post in the right format, right? So you need to post in the Word format. You need to post your responses in PDF format just to ensure everybody can see that feedback. It's all of these little things come together, okay? And some of you experienced some trouble just uploading documents or making sure your feedback was visible. So we are trying to work through some of those kinks so that when we get to next week, We know what we're doing because next week's peer review is incredibly important. All peer review is important, but next week we're really getting into our ultimate writing assignment, and the stakes are high. Okay, so just keep that in mind. What you'll be doing is, pulling together a handful of your former paper topic posts, revising, editing, updating them, and adding those abstract paragraphs. So again, review the assignment guidelines and the video because it's probably been a while since you've done that. And there are some reminders here. Okay, review the assignment guidelines and video. Okay, so that's just a view of this week. Of course, next week is the paper topic portfolio, but you need to kind of get a glance ahead to know how to spend your time this week and what you want to do this week. So if you go to this week's content area, you'll note that we have, I've included the annotated bibliography template just in case you need that. I was still struggling with some folks submitting items that were not formatted in MLA, so make sure that you're doing that. Review the template or review the actual handout that has the example. Okay, I'm trying to give you all the tools to be successful, so just make sure you're taking some time to look at that. The instructional video link is here. And then I have DePeter's article as well as Cosgrove's article link. And then we get into the actual assignments. So for the writing post for Wednesday, I'm trying to be aware that, we have a lot of work in this class. So the writing post is not going to be extensive, but it is going to require that you show that you've read, right? So after reading DePeter's article, why should you trust DePeter when it comes to writing and peer review? Like, who is this guy? And so this goes back to our chapter on evaluating sources. We need to, with everything we read, especially for academic writing, we need to do some of the research, right? We need to know who these people are. There's so much information out there. Some of it is coming from sources that are not reliable, that are not credible. We need to do the work. Additionally, sometimes people tell us in these articles why we should trust them. What experience do they have in the topic that they are writing about, right? So I want you to do a little bit of that work with DePeter's article. What does he mean by meaningful praise, right? What does that mean, not to us, right? We can probably identify what meaningful praise means to us, but what is the actual author saying about this terminology that he is using, right? That's pretty important to identify, especially when it's in a title, right? So again, going back to evaluating sources, titles are important. They're not just kind of random. And then, so answer these two questions and you can just number one, and write the answer in complete sentences. Number two, the same thing. And then we get into a bit more of our normal paragraph writing. So I want you to go back and consider the feedback you provided to your group members last week for the annotated bibliography assignment. And really think after looking at DePeter's ideas, were you offering meaningful feedback? Why or why not? And y'all, be honest. It's okay to look back and kind of critique yourself or realize, I rushed through it. I could have done this. I could have done that. I think any of us, if looking back at that feedback, could say, I could have done more. I could have offered more specificity, right? So one of the things that's really important about peer review is the meaningful, specific quality of the feedback, right? So it's not about saying, oh, this is really good. That's just not helpful. This is really good because you are, very detailed in this paragraph, or because you're helping build a picture through the detail that you offer. Or, it's about giving a little bit more so that when people are reading that feedback, they really get an understanding of what they're doing well, right? Praise is about recognizing that, but it's also, even though we use the word praise, it's also about identifying, hey, you did this in a good way, but maybe you could have done this. So it's about being constructive in your criticism, not harsh, not judgmental, but just saying, hey, the way I read, I could have been helped by you including this, this, or this. Okay, so include that. Answer the question in 6 to 7 sentences, and I said be honest, no judgment. If you didn't participate last week for whatever reason, maybe share a bit about why. You don't have to share anything you don't want to, but All right, let's take a break. We'll move on to the next video for the rest of the information. Okay, so go on, take a break, or come back to part 2.